shut off. It's good. It's recording.
All right.
Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. So we have Isaac. He's here. He's going to share a story with us about a bear hunt he went on this year.
Yeah.
Before we get started with the story, Isaac, what's your background in the hunting world, and how did you get started?
It's not I don't really have any family or friends that really go hunting, but, especially kind of right around the pandemic, start getting more interested in, trying to look for more stuff to do, especially in the outside.
Yeah.
So at that time, I know I grew up in, the Bothell, Maltby area. But then when I grew up after getting married, I moved to Alaska for like 5-6 years.
Oh, wow.
And, got really into fishing, and kind of on the tail end of that, I finally got I got my first 22, started going out to the range, then started getting more interested in hunting. But at that point, our family decided to kind of move back to Washington State. And when we moved back, like 2-3 years ago, I got I got my first 270. I got my first kind of like hunting rifle.
Nice.
So I was just trying to get kind of immersed in the outdoors, just just looking for like an in. So I've been trying to just soak up everybody's advice and try to meet people like you guys. I reached out to a few other people to try to get advice and try to just get into the hunting world and kind of change my life for the better, and try something new that's a little bit kind of outside of my typical realm. So
no, that is fantastic. Yeah, that is really cool. So you've only been hunting for a couple of years then?
Yeah, I've been only hunting for a couple of years. Still haven't had a successful hunt yet.
Hey, that's okay.
But just getting out there, going to the range. The first few times to the range, it was pretty terrifying. Even kind of hearing the shots from the parking lot, kind of getting like jolted and being like, okay, this is normal. I'm in a safe place.
Yep.
But the past almost every time I've gone hunting, I've at least either seen deer or seen sign. I think there's only been one time where I haven't seen anything. But I know I'm in like the right spot, but just I still think I'm not there yet.
Still trying to get all those elements put together for a successful hunt. Yeah, it takes time. And what's nice is that there's platforms out there like this podcast and other podcasts that you can like take these little bits and pieces from and just trying to build your own little package, your own little arsenal from everybody else too. So that's awesome.
I think the hard part is when you first start, you're looking for these things and you don't realize like you're walking by them most of the time throughout your life, and you're like, oh, this is actually a sign something's here. Now you have to marry that with the time that they're there, and that's the trick. And a lot of it's outside your control, but you just have to stay out there and keep going. You're in the right place. It's just timing. They could be there at nighttime. A lot of times that's an issue, but you're doing the right things. You just got to stay there and figure out when they're coming in, and that'll definitely put them in your sights.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
So going into the bear seasons, obviously you hunted fall season because that's pretty much all we have here now. So what led you? When did you actually start bear hunting? Did you do it like August 1st when it opened up, or like what was your time frame? And
so I tried for kind of like going out for deer, looking for deer the past few years, but this year, the deal with my wife is okay. You can go bear hunting. You just have a buddy to go with you. So.
Sounds like something my wife would make me do. Like, you can't go by yourself.
Yeah. So I went out scouting a few times before it happened.
Yeah.
The first time I went scouting, I was able to borrow an electric scooter from my mother-in-law.
Oh, nice.
And I was able to get to the trailhead because the road is washed out. I got to see when I went on there. I got to see sign. I got to see multiple spots where there's bear scat. And then the next time I went scouting, I actually brought a buddy. I brought two buddies, and one of them actually saw a bear, but I was looking the other way. So I was like, man, but at least I was glad he was able to see something.
Yeah, no, that's your main thing, right? Locating it, because when you're out there and you're not seeing what you're trying to hunt, it kind of gets a little discouraging.
Yeah, it does. And I think that's a really hard spot, not knowing with all the time you put towards something if you're actually going to be successful.
So that's awesome. That means you're in the right location, right?
Yeah,
you spotted it.
Good.
You spotted it. Now it's time to like just roll everything into it. So go ahead and tell us about your bear season and how it went and how it all unfolded and everything.
Yeah, no. Once we got into the bear season, that spot where I'd gone out, I was like, okay, it's going to be a grind, but at least I know there's something there. But then, I'm like a week or two before, I'm like checking the weather reports and everything, and it says, well, there's like a wildfire like right on the opposite canyon. And I was like, oh no. And I talked to a buddy who had been fishing in the area, and he said, yeah, it's pretty smoky out there. So I'm like, okay, it's probably be best, not to go there. And it was just, okay, what am I going to do? So me and another buddy that at the time was just about to get his hunter safety, we found a new spot, not too far away, within a few hour drives. And we decided, okay, we read some trail reports saying that they had saw some bear scat on the trail. We decided to go out there. It was an awesome spot. We were able to see bear scat at literally the start of the trailhead.
Nice.
And then after we got set up, the following morning we went out exploring, we got to see this huge tree that was just completely scratched up by a bear. And I was so glad I was able to find something, but that was pretty much about it for bears on that trip that we saw. But it was so cool just being able to see that scratched up tree, take a photo. Could have been happier with that. So
that's awesome.
We had an incident like that, Luke's bear story, where we saw a bunch of sign and there was a tree that had some pretty good scratches on it. We stopped and took our photos and everything and went up to the top and he grabbed a rabbit call out, blew like 3 times on it, and the bear stood up in the repod right there. So sometimes, like seeing those signs, if you get in there, have a little hand rabbit call. Just give it some like a predator call. It's gonna make that bear's ears perk up, and sometimes they'll expose themselves, especially if they're just wandering in the brush, because they're not very tall when they're on all fours. And I've come to the conclusion they're about 4 inches shorter than everything else. So they're right behind everything.
Yeah, you can't see them
in front of you, but there's a fern in front of them. So you can't even spot them.
Or they're behind a log that you don't see.
Yeah.
But when you get that rabbit call or any type of fawn call or something like that, it perks their interest, right? So did you use any calls or anything?
No calls.
Okay,
I did hear about people like bringing like little speakers and trying to use like different apps and trying to put signs. But.
Yep, you can do that. I recommend going to PhelpsGameCalls.com.
Okay.
Checking out the fawn call, and they have a rabbit call. I would try those too, but the fawn call is the one that's going to get it going, guaranteed.
I think calls are a pretty much a good idea. I mean, throughout the whole season to use.
Yep.
Yeah, they're always looking for food.
Yep, from the beginning all the way to the end. And usually I would say closer to like the end of October, early November. Sometimes you're going to get those calls to work even better than they would in the earlier of the year, because in the start of August, they're out just berries. They're out there just cruising, getting berries and stuff like that. But
yeah, they're foraging.
Yep, every once in a while you will get that one that's just, wants that fresh fawn meat. So they start hearing that cry and they're like, oh, I'm on that thing. So I would recommend using any type of calls. And if you want to primarily bear hunt, if that's something that you want to do every season, also check out a book by Douglas Bose. He has an awesome book that's out. It's on Amazon right now. It's like $20.
I think I purchased that just recently.
Really? Is it like a bear like going down? Looks like it's going down a hill.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it is. And I think I met him actually at a while back at kind of like a meetup for like different hunters and outdoors people for like another podcast, I think.
Yeah, so that was up north.
Yeah, it was in Mukilteo.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. He was up. I think he actually lives up north as well.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, that's an awesome book. I read it all the time, just because I haven't tagged on a bear either.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of messed up situations go down. We talk about it all the time on the podcast. So if you go back a few podcasts, you'll hear it. We talk a lot about bear hunting.
We talked about my instance too, where I suck. It's not that. It's the trigger pulling section that gets me. And I haven't hunted with a rifle a lot. I always hunt with archery since I was a kid. And when I picked up a rifle, it was like starting archery at day one. You got the jitters, you're nervous. It just reignited all those initial feelings. And so, I got buck fever basically every time I had a bear in front of me. And, now I'll probably be cooler if I see another one soon. I'll be like, okay, this is going to be, check it at the door, let the adrenaline go away, don't be so crazy, you're not in a rush. Because every bear I've seen, they've always been moving. They're never like really stationary for too long. Yeah. They're looking for something. And those calls, one thing about them, it's not saying I'm a healthy animal over here, just catch me if you can. Those calls are to say like I'm hurt, I'm in a vulnerable situation,
I'm in distress,
and you could come easily eat me. So like the bear that Luke took was with that rabbit call in the springtime. That was a spring bear hunt, and they were in the berries then, but because of that rabbit sound, like it's wounded and maybe dying, a bear is not going to pass up a free meal, especially if it's just getting there. If I don't have to work hard for it, it'd be easier. If it's chasing healthy deer when I'm weak and I don't have the good food sources at this point in time, then it's going to be a little more difficult on me as a bear. But as their food source changes, maybe they're following the fawns, or they're going with elk that are calving. Then you can switch into that and be like, okay, they're strictly on meat now. They're trying to get these fresh baby elk and all that other stuff. But you're imitating something that's wounded and lame or dying. So they really like that stuff no matter what time of year.
Yeah. So I would recommend, especially in an area that like you're seeing this bear scat, you're seeing bear sign with the scratches and all that stuff, go like 50, 60 yards off from where that is, start hitting a call. You'll probably bring one in. If not, coyotes are free game too. So
one thing I would add is if you're unsure about using a call and you're in an area that you're glassing or looking for any sort of whatever you're looking for, right? It doesn't hurt if you're going to leave to call first anyway, because you're already going to be like, okay, I'm not seeing anything in this area, I'm going to relocate. But before I go, let me make sure. You take that call, you try to give it some effort to spark interest, and then you give it 10, 15 minutes, maybe more, depending on how you feel. Give it a second call. Maybe you spend another 20 minutes, and then you're like, okay, now there's really nothing here I can verify. I need to move on. But some people just go out, hit the call. Some people go out and do the spotting first, they'll glass. Before they leave, they'll call, and then they decide this is not an area that holding a bear right now. Let's go find a bear that wants to play.
Yep.
How often are you guys kind of staying at one location before you say, you know what, I'm not seeing anything, let me move out?
So it depends. So sometimes I'll stay in a spot all day long. But I'll call like every 15 to 20 minutes. So I'll do like a minute straight of just a whining fawn call. Like a minute, just and then I'll stop for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then I'll do it again. And I'll do that all day long. And then sometimes I'll usually just go like ridge to ridge, depending on where I'm hunting. So usually I hunt towards kind of like the east side, and I'll go into like a bowl, and I'll call into there, and I'll maybe sit for like an hour and a half or so, and then and if nothing's going on, and I'll do that, that 20-minute calling sequence. And if nothing's going on, then I'll go over to the next ridge and do the same thing. And I'll just keep on doing that, and I'll do like a big circle and then come back to camp or whatever.
Is the bowl like the bottom of the valley? Or?
So like it would be like a mountain ridge, right? Like if these are the peaks, and then all of a sudden there's like a little bowl in there. I kind of hunt around in the bowl.
Okay.
And then if I don't see anything, because usually the bears will kind of be up on those ridges, kind of like side hilling.
Yeah, on the slopes.
Yep.
Yeah,
so you try to find those slopes depending on where you're at. All these hunting situations are different depending on like where you're at in the topography and all that other stuff.
Topography.
Yeah.
So the berries that they're eating typically don't grow in a swamp, like in very damp places. So the hillsides are nice because it gets the water, drains through. They still get the moisture, they can grow. They're usually on the sunny side, so they'll grow. They'll be able to photosynthesize and grow a better berry. So like normally the shady side of something's not going to grow a good plant compared to the sunny side. So that needs all light. So besides all the scientific backing of that stuff, the bottom of these basins are usually wetter. They'll have like devil's club or some thick ferns. Not really a lot of edible things compared to what's on the slopes where the sun's at and the water's just draining through. So that said, we're not going off our track records here because we don't have a good bear track record.
Yeah, we haven't made it happen yet, but I'm seeing bears in those areas. For me, it's getting into a good rifle range, like the range, to make a good shot on a bear. Plus, I primarily hunt with a bow, so I'm not really like a rifle hunter. So that's what I'm actually working towards more in 24 is to get better with my rifle. So
yeah, because we're limited on distance a lot of times when we hunt because we're mainly archery, but we're I like to say one bear thought away from actually tagging on them, because it's not what we're doing other than missing, because we're putting ourselves in the situation to be successful.
Yeah.
We're looking in the right places, we're finding the animals, we're able to put it all together, get a range. When you pull the trigger, you got to have it pointed at the right spot. That's a fact. That's the one thing that'll screw you up quick. So, I mean, I think this next season is going to be a really telltale. Dave and I did a hunt in August, I think it was, where we tried to do 6 stands in a day. And we were there, I think it was like an hour and 45 minutes per stand. And we started with just calls. We went there, we got situated, looked around for maybe 15 minutes, then we started call. Boom, boom, boom. Got the call running. We were using an electronic call. Then we would take a break, call again, and then we would give it like 30 minutes in the end where we were like, okay, let's wrap it up and get out of here. We need to move. We'd move over the ridge. Then we'd go down, set up in another place, do the same thing over and over, trying to locate a bear. But we use our eyes first. We use their ears second. So that's how we were doing it.
These are all in tree stands?
No, a setup.
Like a setup.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a setup. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that archery sound, it sounds really nice. The kind of like the deal I made with myself is that that's a whole nother thing to get into as well. It was like, let me get effective first with the rifle, and then we'll think about getting an archery setup.
So I did that my first 2 seasons. I was rifle hunting, and then I shot something, and I was like, oh, that's too easy. And then I started archery hunting, and then it's, going back to a rifle, I was like, man, I'm really missing out on like rifle hunting. It's a lot of fun. But so we mainly bear hunt with our rifles, but everything else is with a bow.
Yeah, as soon as September starts, we use our archery equipment strictly.
Yep. Are you guys focusing like on like different species, like deer, bear, elk, or is it kind of just
we hunt everything that you can in the state pretty much, except for like upland bird. We don't really do a whole lot of that. It's not like we wouldn't, we just don't do a whole lot of it. But Dave's a duck hunter. We both hunt. I haven't hunted ducks yet, but that's going to change next weekend.
It's not changing because we're hunting geese.
Well, whatever. Flying birds with beaks and webbed feet. But we hunt elk, deer, turkeys. We love hunting turkeys. That's one of our top things. Like, we really love hunting turkeys. It's a lot of fun, and we just have a great time doing it.
If I had to say number one would be elk. Yeah. Number 1 would be turkey. Number 1 is waterfowl. I mean, it's like, depends on the time of year. Like right now, my number 1 is turkey hunting because that's what's next. Yeah. Then we're going to go into, I go into fishing after that. It's like simultaneously we're going to go into salmon fishing. Yep. I really enjoy springer fishing. So I'll go out and I just like going to sit out. I'll bring a solo stove. I'll go on the bank and talk to the old guys and plunk, and they know their stuff. They're slaying them. So I'm down there taking notes from them, like, oh, come talk by the fire. They'll come over. Everybody has a bell on their fishing pole, so they'll stand by the fire. We'll sit there and talk for an hour. Nothing's going on. Check your rigs. Okay, what are you using? I'm just absorbing information from them by using my fire for it, So I'm over there enjoying myself. I'll lay back in the bed of the truck and chill, take a little nap, listen for the bell, and then, last year we caught a sturgeon. It was about 2.5 foot little sturgeon. There was a guy next to me. They caught 3 springers, so then I instantly bought what they had. Then we go into our fall. We start doing our scouting and our bear hunts in August, and then straight to deer and elk. Yeah. We have opening deer weekend in September, and we go into elk. And then this season, I went rifle deer to take my daughter out. And so I figured it was like a little extension of a bear season. So if I saw one before November 15th, I was going to tag that. Also give her a chance to shoot a deer, and then I brought her out for elk. And she only had to make one shot good because it was with the 7mm mag, and I knew it was going to kick her, but she didn't. So I was like, if we see an elk, she can make the shot, but she had to do one time good, So
packs a big punch.
It was
it kicks a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting to we're in like February, kind of think out and kind of plan out like what you're going to do for the rest of the year. Yeah. Because out of all the goals I have, I think making scouting more a priority would probably be the biggest thing I need to work on this year. because I went to that seminar they had, across the field in Green Theater, and it was talking about, not kind of like hopeful hunting,
Here, let me put this.
which is, I think a lot of what I've been doing is, just kind of hoping something's there, and I know I need to make more of an effort to kind of scout out, an area, and not kind of just wish that something kind of pops up.
Well, make it a camping trip, like bring your friends, bring the wife, bring whoever, make it a little trip, and make it fun for everybody. So it's not just like a scouting trip, but you're also like going with your buddies, going hiking a little bit, and then just taking a break, getting your glass out, and just start looking around, start checking stuff out. And
Have you ever played the game Minesweeper?
No.
So Windows used to come with this little preset of games. Or Solitaire. You played Solitaire?
Yeah.
The card game where you stack them up and you roll them back?
Minesweeper's the one with like all the grids.
Yeah, it has a grid. There are a bunch of blocks, right? And then you have, you just click, 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 and you find these blank spots, right? And those blank spots will show you where nothing is at. And then there's a number 1, a number 2, a number 3. Those are your indicators on what's going on around that square. So you already have last year's foundation. Like, you've gone to places where there's nothing, but you found a square that had bear sign in it. So now your goal is to work off that square and expand from there. Yeah. So that's your foundation where you're at now. I wouldn't abandon that space. I would scout more heavily around there and expand your area that you're working in there, and just spend a little more time trying to see what's going on, because there was at one point a bear in there scratching on a tree. Whatever other sign you saw, that happened at some point in time too. So maybe regiment your thing, put some cameras out close to that spot. Some trail cams are pretty cheap nowadays, and then use the cameras as your eyes when you're out.
Yeah, because if you can't get out enough just yourself, let the camera do the work. So that's legal in Washington. You can get a trail camera. You can set it up in different. You can get cameras for $40 on Amazon, and they work, because I have a few of them, and I've left some out for like 2 years and didn't even touch the things. Came back, take my memory card out, and the thing still works. Just change the batteries in, and it's good to go.
So it lasts a decent amount of time.
Yeah, and it was worth the $40.
They're way better than they used to be. They used to run on big D cells, and we would run through batteries.
Yeah, it's like
the big ones look look like a big old stick of dynamite in there.
Yeah, big old D batteries. I actually still have one. So it's heavy.
Sportco, or I think it's Sportsman's Warehouse, they had some stealth cams on sale, and they had them for AT&T, Verizon, and I think T-Mobile might have had some, but you buy them and they're designed to work with your cellular network. So if you have a cell phone provider, you can buy these cameras. I think they're like $50 or $60, and then you just do your little activation by scanning the QR code with your phone, and it will send you the pictures to your phone. They're Moultrie cameras, the Moultrie ones, and I have 2 of those. As long as you have cell phone service in the area, it will send you the pictures as they happen. So you'll be like, oh, got them coming in at night. Oh, got them coming in the day, and then you'll be able to tell, like, okay, I probably should start thinking about coming out here and scouting at this certain time. But you can do that like a preemptive thing to your season and throughout the season.
Okay.
It helps a lot.
Yeah, that's definitely a good idea. The place, when we went out scouting, there was scat at the beginning of the trailhead, and then didn't see anything else till 5 miles up, elevation. There was a basin where you could kind of camp out, and like towards the left, there was that scratched up tree, maybe about another mile away. So I know it's a little bit of a hike up there. So it would be cool to have another spot, but I definitely want to go back to the area.
Well, the bears are in there for a reason, right? So there's food there. So it's not only just like berries and whatever. There's probably deer and elk and all that stuff. So I mean, not just expanding like your area, but also expand like what you're actually looking for. So you might even find like more animals in this area. So
yeah, it wasn't that same area, that same trip actually. We went out bear hunting. We woke up one morning and we decided to go to like another ridge, and maybe like half an hour before sunrise, my buddy was like, "Hey, look, there's like $3." And we bumped them, and they just took off. It was incredibly how fast they went, and they met up with like 2 other of their buddies, and then they were like completely gone. And I was like, man, I'd never seen that before, and it was super cool to see.
That is awesome. That's a good trip. That's a good trip. No matter if you tag out or not, if you're seeing what you're going after, that's pretty cool. And I mean, just seeing other animals as well is a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I'll look back on that area from time to time through all like the trail reports, and people have seen, especially in the snow, they've seen cougars, they see a couple of other, different animals out there. So
yeah, there's a lot of things that you just have to always keep your eyes open. You never know how it's going to go. Next time you go out, you could have a bear just walk right in front of you. It happens all the time.
Yeah, you can get lucky. Yeah. There's a lot of people that that's not me. I don't get lucky. I got to work for it. But a lot of people just get lucky, man. And all of a sudden it's just like you'll be walking the trailhead and all of a sudden, boom, there's a bear. Like, oh.
Even with the luck, right? Even with it just happening, I've had enough experiences in the woods to know, like, when the things line up, there's almost nothing I could have done to stop it from happening. It was, other than the fact I could have stayed in bed. But if you get up in the morning, you can prepare your gear, you grab all the stuff you need, you drive to where you're going, and you start hiking. You've done everything that you can do right now to affect your success. Showing up, getting there, do your scouting, all that stuff is going to be paramount to successes. Now, whether or not they just so happen to walk in front of you and say, hey, do you know which direction, and ask you for directions, that's like, wow, this happened. But 75 times I went, it didn't happen. The one time it did. So you've built into this position. So it's not really luck. It's just putting yourself in enough positions for success that it just happens to you. So sometimes it happens easier than others, but most of the time, I like them to get right in front of me, and I've had it happen with deer and elk. And but I was there. I got there quietly. I had the cover scent. I had the wind direction. I was dressed in my camo. I was, doing all the right things. And when you do those over and over and over, eventually it equals success.
Yep. And I think that you're doing it right. Just going out to that same position and doing all the right things. I would say just maybe in your arsenal, grab some calls, because that's probably going to help you out big time.
Yeah, especially after hiking 5 miles. If I was going to walk back, I would want to give it a call first, just to make sure, just in case you're sleeping. That'll stand them up.
Yeah, no, I definitely will. Even on that same trail, we didn't see any other hunters. We did see a lot of hikers. We even saw people coming by with horses too.
Yeah,
we're just sweating, sweating as a pig, and just like, man, it was so nice to have a horse, right?
I've been in those situations, like way back in the backcountry, and all of a sudden it's like what the heck?
Yeah, or you hike your butt off and someone pulls over the other edge with an ATV, right?
Yeah, like, oh.
That's happened.
Yeah, I feel like the past few years, every year it's kind of selective, like, okay, what can I make an improvement on? Or like, what type of gear can I get? Not like that's going to, get me the bear, get me the deer, but I think when I first started, I think, buying a decent pair of shoes and buying a decent backpack would probably be the biggest things I would have done differently.
Yeah.
I got the most cheapest backpack I get from Sportsman's for like $160. I know it's been killing me the past few years.
You know what, man? We've all been there. We actually talk about it on the podcast. Like, there's like, when you started, like you're on this like very, very cheap budget, right? So you're
Pretty
just like,
much.
all I need is this, all I need is that, all I need is this. But then once you start actually like progressing through like your hunting career, basically, you start noticing that, like, yes, this is expensive, but it's definitely going to keep me in the hunt longer. So like, you'll notice like a really good backpack, because I had a cheaper backpack, and after the third day I couldn't actually strap it on anymore because it was actually bruising my hips.
Yeah,
so
the fit is a big deal.
Yeah.
Also, like, things that make you more comfortable out there is important, because if you're uncomfortable out there, then you're going to spend less time.
Yep.
If you don't bring enough food and you're hungry, you're going to spend less time. And if you put some food in your pack and it feels like it's pulling you backwards like a lead weight, your pack's not fitting right, you're going to be like, I'm not hiking as far. All those things come into effect of how you feel out there, and how the day goes based on how you feel most of the time. Because the mountains are going to still be there when you leave. Nothing there is changing. The bear's still going to do what he does when you leave. But if you're not there because of X, Y, and Z, ultimately you'll come to the conclusion like, I should get some better boots because my feet hurt every single time. Or rain is an issue. My feet get wet every single time, and it's expensive. Boots they're necessary, but I've averaged it out over time. I know that the initial investment is heavy, and then in 5 years I go, well, this lasted 5 times longer than my last pair of boots.
Okay, go.
You know what, my bosses, they're super nice. They're really, pretty much any time I ask off, they'll most likely give it for me. So I'm trying to think out now, like, okay, what days should I, what days should I pick out, especially in that scouting time, like June or July. What time would you guys focus on for like bear hunting? When would you say you guys start kind of scouting for bear, coming up later on this summer?
To be honest,
3 for 40 on that. Yeah.
We're getting low.
oh, okay. Battery's about ready to die on the camera. But usually towards the end of May.
End of May?
Yeah, end of May. So like basically once the turkey season's over and May 31st, I start scouting for bear, deer, and elk.
Okay, so pretty much almost every month of the summer. Better into shape hiking that trail up those 5 miles and try to set up those cameras, come May, come June.
Yeah, I would say you can go out there anytime.
Yeah.
Are you going to see bears during that time? Probably not. Like if you go early, only because, the hibernation and all that other stuff. So you might not start seeing them till what would be like our supposedly like spring bear season. So like end of April, May, and then into June, you'll start really seeing them. And then, but if you're already going to go back to your same spot where you already were, you kind of know the general area where you've been seeing some bear activity. They don't need to be bears in there.
Yeah, what I would probably look
you
at
can
is
just start putting stuff, cameras in and all that other stuff. But once you start hitting those later months, then you'll start seeing the bears and all that stuff.
I would check out your area a little earlier just to see like what are they on right now, because during the springtime we would always look for like really bright green piles of bear scat because they're eating the grasses.
Yep.
And their digestive tract is so short. By the time they eat something, it comes out the other side. It almost looks exactly like when they ate it. That's why they just funnel through food. It's not. They have to constantly eat because they don't have a very good digestive system, like a cow where they would really absorb a lot of the nutrients. Bears have to just keep shoving it in, so they don't absorb it. Like you've seen bear poop that still has berries in it that never got digested. It's because it just went through so fast. They have a short digestive tract. So I would be looking there early for signs like the green scat where they're eating grass, and then look for something that turns into like berries, and then that'll tell you like okay where they're going to be at in their their cycle of the area.
Yeah,
so you're going to be able to tell like now they're on berries, now I'm going to be up here. Well, they're still eating grass, so they're probably not up where the berries are. And if they're down in the grasses, there's probably ferns. They're going to be harder to spot. I would definitely work calls more in those areas. And then when they get up into those more berry areas that are open, where the sun's going to be in there in those slopes, then you're going to be relying more on your glass and resort into a call in the end. So you're gonna have to determine what stage the bears are at in their digestion and what they're using as a food source, and just follow that. And I'd say that would put you in the right place to find a bear.
Yeah. So like if you read Douglas Bose's book, it'll say if you find the food, you'll find the bears. That's the trick. But now you got to also like figure out like, okay, at this elevation, the berries are here, and all this. I mean, it goes into a whole bunch of different things.
Yeah, 'cause I remember where I saw that. I mean, I don't know if I should be basing like all my focus on, I just saw a scratch. There's going to be bears nearby. Because I remember where I saw it, there wasn't really a ton of feed. It was always like right below that elevation and kind of like right above where I saw that scratch.
And then that's where the calls will come in handy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can find that happy medium and then just start calling.
Right.
And you got to wonder what the scratch means.
Right.
So
right.
I like to think of that as like they're marking their territory. I don't think they're just stretching their body. They're not really trying to stretch their claws, but everywhere I've seen those scratches, other bears that come in see those scratches too. So I think they're marking their territory, like saying, hey, I'm around here. And then they're like, well, he's reaching up there 7 feet and I can only go 5, so I'm going to get the hell out of here. I feel like that's what that means a lot of times. Other than the cambium bark peeling, when the little bears, they'll eat they'll wring a tree with the bark off and eat the cambium layers. The scratching is a little different to me. I use that as like more of an indicator, like a dominancy thing. So that's my 2 cents on the scratch, but it could be nothing.
Yeah, it's definitely an area I need to kind of explore more. I bet there's more animals there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it'd be nice to find a kind of like another, I don't know if you guys have like backup spots to like the spots you guys scout, just because, I put all my focus on one year of trying to find a certain spot, and then it gets smoked out, or you can't make it to that location.
Yeah, well, fortunately for us, like there's spots that we have on the west side of Washington, and then there's also spots on the east side that we go to. So if one is like, smoked out or fire or whatever, we'll go to another spot. But usually, you don't really have to go too far. There's bears everywhere.
Yeah, they move around.
There's bears everywhere.
And we have several spots on both sides, and a lot of them. So we just decide like this time we're going towards this mountain range or this area, and we're going to hunt this area. And then if we don't see a lot of sign there, we don't go back to that spot. Now we're going to check out another one of our spots. It could be 20 miles from there. We're going to check out this area, but we're looking for that constant same feature that you're finding. So if you're finding bears in your spot at that elevation, I would look for something similar to that in another location. Like, it's easy to take an onyx and spin the earth and go, I saw the bear on this hillside, and then if you rotate down, you'll see all the hillsides that look like that hillside, and you can go, let's check out this one. Let's check out this one. So you can see them all from the same angle. Whereas if you're looking at the map, you're kind of like, you could do the same thing, but it's a little easier on onyx. It's an actual photo. So you're going to get that. You're going to be able to, like, okay, here we go. Here's the chute where we saw the bear sign. There's another one right across here that looks even better or bigger, or we get a better advantage. You're going to use the map systems to decide where you're going to go.
Yep, and then really start marking out your elevations too, like where you're seeing like some of these things too. Start mapping out your elevations.
And that's where the minesweeper comes in. So you got the indicator, right? Like they're going to be at 4,500 feet. They're looking at south-facing slopes with huckleberries. So you're going to look at all the other 4,500 south-facing huckleberry slopes. Then you're going to say, this is my educated guess based on what I've seen so far. And then you're going to eliminate them, tink, 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 and go, okay, here's the best one I've seen. And eventually, all that educated guessing, is going to lead you to, there's a bear in my crosshairs.
Yep.
Okay, so if you've seen a spot before that's had, let's say berries or another different type of sign, but then you come back to it and then you don't see anything, are you guys saying, okay, maybe I'll check out my other spot? Like, what makes you decide, okay, maybe, and I've seen bears here before, I've seen sign before, but maybe I can put, my focus on, let's say, this area since I'm not really seeing anything anymore?
I go into a deductive phase where I'm like, what's different now than when I saw a bear here? Like, because I can recall, like, this had a lot more berries at one point in time, or there wasn't a bunch of traffic, or there wasn't horses here last time. Anything that could affect a bear's staying or an animal staying in that area, something that disrupts them, I'll take that into effect in my thinking. Like, okay, well, there could be a lot of pressure here from people hiking and stuff. Early springs, nice weather, bring more people out. So if it's been really rainy, I would say probably not as many people go out as if it's been really sunny. So I can use those as say, maybe it just pushes them into the next drainage. And I'll look for that void where animal gets safety. They feel comfortable there.
Oh, Matt was our neighbor was like,
Ghost Scream is giving us a hard time.
He's like, is my reggae music too loud? And I'm like, no, man, you're good.
He's shaking his head like crazy.
No, you're good.
I'm like, man, I guess I just don't know what I'm saying at all.
No, I love reggae music. I think the music he's playing, I think those artists are actually coming to the Seattle area here in a month or two. So yeah, awesome. It's a nice touch.
Yeah, I love it too. So
yeah. Like I was back on island time.
Yeah, right. So any other questions that you have for us?
Not at the moment. I appreciate you guys, taking your time to kind of help me out.
Yeah. Anytime.
Yeah, it's just, hopefully, I'm trying to dedicate more time to, going to the range this year, going out scouting, trying to get, more buddies to come along with me, get them also interested in hunting, and hopefully we'll have plan on having a successful year this time.
Yeah, definitely. Well, good luck in 24. Yeah, man. Sounds like you're doing everything good.
Yeah, stick with it.
You're on the right track.
Yeah. Next thing you know, you're going to be posting pictures.
That's right. Yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be fun to see.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'll make sure to let you guys know that.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you, Isaac. And everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. And you could be just like Isaac. Just send us an email at the Ridgeline Hunting Podcast at gmail.com, and maybe you'll be on the podcast. But thanks, everybody. Have a good one.